You, well, let's go.
Hi, everyone, and so happy to see all your faces here at our last God Talk of 2024. And I'm just, I'm just thrilled to see you all here. And let's just jump right in and get started with our introductions, our names, and our just the name that you want to be called here tonight, your preferred pronouns, and the answer to our introductory question. So I'm just gonna say, do you make New Year's resolutions? And I'll start. I'm Carol, she, her, and I usually do make some general resolutions. I just like transitions and making plans. But I'm not too stringent about them. They need to be lighthearted and fun and nothing like losing 20 pounds or anything silly like that. Okay. You want me to just go to somebody else?
No.
You ready?
Thank you, Giga the Wheel. Giga Baba.
Okay, tell us your name.
Giga Baba, hey, Giga Boo, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Margo M. My Giga.
You don't have to say what your New Year's resolution is, just do you make them?
I'll be a buddy.
You don't make a New Year's resolution every day, you make it once a year.
Yes. I'm with it.
So your answer is yes, you make New Year's resolutions? Yeah. Okay, we'll just go in the order we came on. So Suzette?
Yeah, go.
Suzette, she, her, and I'm following the train of thought that we should be making our resolutions before January 1st, so that we're not like setting ourselves up for failure. So that's something on TikTok. Make your 90-day end of the year resolution. But I do like to wipe the slate clean and start fresh and believe that with hopefulness that I can achieve some things that maybe I haven't been able to do for whatever reason. So I do make resolutions, but I don't write them down. It's just more in my head, more about self-care and um, being more kind to myself. So those are kind of the resolutions that I make for myself, not to achieve something else, because I'm an overachiever and this makes me more tired. So thank you for hearing me out on that. Okay. Next.
Jared and Leo?
My name is Leo. Pronouns are he, him, but any pronouns will do as well. New Year's resolutions, yes. I really haven't given it much thought, but I have a few. We wrote them down today on our notebook.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And but yeah, we have what, 5?
Are these couples resolutions or individual?
I mean, there are financial resolutions, right? We're trying to get some bills paid.
Those are hard. Those are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir.
Absolutely. Hi, my name's Jared. I'm gender expansive, so if you can make up a pronoun, give it to me. It's mine now. But as far as every New Year's, I do generally make like an easy to accomplish New Year's resolution. And I'm less serious about them, but I think I've been thinking this year, is a year to really go ham now that the orange one's in the presidency. But it's specifically, yes, I do every year, and I'm thinking this year we want to make sure that we gotta build more, I guess, better communications within my families, right? Because we got we two families up in here. Because I mean, like that in this time period, we really got to be emotionally vulnerable and open with one another in order to survive. Really survive, capital S. Mm-hmm.
I love the way you said that. That's beautiful. Okay, Lynn.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn. Pronouns are she, her. And I'm kind of like, Marco said something that made me think. I make New Year's resolutions every day, almost. Because if you think about it, well, at least maybe every week. You think about it. For instance, I have a reflection time around my birthday. And so in July of every year, there are things that I think I want to change or should change. And I make resolutions about that. So I guess, yes, I do make New Year's resolution, although this year I haven't figured out what that might be yet. Still thinking on it. But yes, I do make resolutions.
Okay, Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim, she, her. I quit making New Year's resolutions, so I don't anymore and haven't for several years. And that's because I hate failure. So I feel if I make a resolution and I don't go through with it, then I have failed myself and anyone that may have been involved in that resolution. So I quit making them. I just go along throughout the year and see what needs to be done and changed and work on it as it comes up.
That sounds kind of like what Marco and Lynn were saying. So that's beautiful. And wise. That's very wise. Kreger?
I'm Kreger. Pronouns are he and the universal they. I'm not so much making any new resolutions, but I continue to repeat resolutions that I've already made in the past. Like when I got an Apple Watch back in December of 2022, so my resolutions for 23 and 24 is I'm absolutely committed to 90 minutes of movement every day, whether it's walking, riding the bicycle, whatever. And I have, the phone, I've got the watch, I've got all these tools that can track that for me, and I know whether I'm making it or not. And I found that it's absolutely attainable for me, and I'm grateful for each day that I'm able to do it.
Love it.
10,000 steps each day.
10,000. Unlike today, I've got over 15,000 steps and I've got 7.1 miles today.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Liam. My pronouns are he, him, and this is Carlos. Their pronouns are they, them. They're non-binary, so they, them. So I actually make monthly resolutions. I do what's called a word of the month. So I don't make a whole year. I break it into months. So like last month was health. So I did things that, like one day I'd do a little more exercise, or one day I'd focus every day on eating more fruits and vegetables. This month was adore. So noticing the beauty in every moment and every day. So I have to come up with one for January. But yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, we're going to start with with a little video, and we're going to transition to kind of a different topic, maybe around the top of the hour. But this video, we were going to kind of talk about some of the favorite, or some of the memorable sessions that we've had, and one of the ones we had was on beauty. So I really love this one, Jared. I see you recognize it, and I bet some of the rest of you do too. Okay.
Truncated and abrasive version of beauty, but what's marketed to us is not beauty, that's assimilation. What beauty actually is unruly, riotous, feral, flamboyant, and flagrant individuality that cannot be replicated by anyone else.
Like a fingerprint.
Yes, it is so distinctively you. What it means to pursue beauty is to pursue the excavation, because we were buried. We were born beautiful and then buried into shame. The excavation of our beauty from our shame. We've been taught a truncated and abrasive version of beauty, but what's marketed to us is not beauty, that's assimilation. What beauty actually is unruly, riotous, feral, flamboyant, and flagrant individuality that cannot be replicated by anyone else.
Like a fingerprint.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I love that.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, wasn't it? And I wish I'd found that well, anyway, it's good to talk about it today. And I just think it goes right into that discussion we had recently about beauty. I especially love what it said about individuality and not assimilation, and about it kind of being the opposite of shame. So, y'all have any other thoughts on that one?
Absolutely, because I think society tells us that you shouldn't dress a certain way, you shouldn't do certain things. And that was very beautiful, because it's like you have to dig up yourself, you know, from what society has told you. That was just so beautiful.
I love a lot like that. They're a trans comedian, right? You know, lecturer, public speaker, and they're very famous for I guess decolonizing hair. Because like there's like this whole thing on hair control, right? That, you know, we're like, oh, you know, hair belongs to men, right? If you have facial hair, if you have beards, a unibrow, right, you are masculine, right? And, you know, they have the audacity, right? And the ferocity to just, you know, make hair beautiful, honey, right? We're talking beards, we're talking glitter, we're talking dresses all together. And I love that you chose them as the public speaker, because, you know, it's not just their words, right? Their presence, and well, yeah, their actions, right? But their presence is a part of their message, right? Because that's what beauty's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be a form of communication, right? A form, in some cases, of protest, right? And good job, GodTalk. Well done.
Well, and the beautiful container that he presented on stage with his clothing or their clothing, and making it so that anyone looking at that visual will say, wow, that's somebody that's really experimenting with identity and creating perception in other people's minds. And then the words that went along with it were just beautiful. I loved it.
Beauty is an act of resistance.
I was just going to say something like that. I mean, one of the things that I've heard a lot in sermons recently is that joy is resistance. And so I think beauty goes right along with that. Just anything that kind of challenges perceptions of the norm, challenges stereotypes, is an act of resistance. Just being our beautiful individual selves, just like we are. Just that that itself is an act of resistance.
I agree. I wanted to have a white Christmas, so I went to CVS and I got me one.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Use that word. Okay. Well, what, okay. I don't know what those things that just came up were, but, anyway, there were lots of sessions over the years, or over the year, of 2024. And there were some vulnerable moments. I remember when we had the guest regarding the mental health. Prager happened to be going through a very rough time right then, and that was a very specific. It was just beautiful the way that it all flowed together and worked well. Prager, do you want to say something about that especially for the people who weren't there?
Sure. Yeah, my brother, my older brother, had passed away on April 17th. And I think this was the very next Thursday or something after he died. And so I was dealing with a bunch of stuff. So I had both my mother die at 62 of a coronary issue, and then my brother died also at 62 with a coronary issue. And I was 61 at the time. And so I was, pretty much a mess, just wondering, if what was going to happen. And so, because of that God talk, and there was a therapist, I didn't actually get to go see that particular therapist, but I did get therapeutic help from through Aetna, my insurance, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. So yeah, God talk changes lives, and it can be a big help.
Oh, say more about changing lives. That's a beautiful way to put it. Bless you. I know. I think the time I shared some about my ADHD diagnosis after that, and shared a lot during the times we were talking about disabilities and aging and things like that. And I know a lot of you have shared a lot of personal information, and it's really beautiful the way that a lot of healing, like you said, Krager, lives changed. I think
Oh yeah.
one of my favorite things about this group is just the connections that have
Oh yeah. I think
that just keep growing, that just keep getting stronger every time we meet.
Yeah.
Well, we feel like social media has just exploded the ability for connection, right? But there's some of us who we get on social media and we're one persona, and then privately we're another persona. And so that's kind of how I am. My business face on social media, I'm not going to be outrageous or say, things that, I think would offend my clients, so I'm safe. I stay safe on social media. So I don't have really an outlet for being my authentic self. And so by coming here, I feel safe and I can be my authentic self. And also with self-employment, I work from a home office all day in complete silence. I mean, I have four little fur dogs, but I don't turn on the TV. I work all day in silence. Maybe I'll put some music on, but many times I have felt alone. Many times I have felt like I didn't have the kind of deep connection that I needed as an intellectual person with high high functioning brain activity, get finished with work. I need more, I need more than what my work was giving me. And so I have the opportunity to bring that to the table every Thursday night at 6:30. I have friends, I have people that will give me honest feedback. I get to hear stories that I've never imagined before and experiences of others that are different than me, that I love and cherish and want nothing more than to know more about you. So I come here eagerly on Thursday nights, wanting to learn more about you. And I want in the new year, one of my New Year's wishes is so that more people will find us and find our space. And I'm thinking about trying to find a way to use this as a podcast as well on YouTube. So I don't know if anybody knows anything about that, but I talked about it with Carol, and not that I want to change the format of it, because I don't. I love the face-to-face, but I really think that we might get more exposure if we had a podcast format, because people might discover us in their travels or anything like that. So I love that you're shaking your head yes. And so any feedback that you have on that you can share with me, Jared, I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely, right? Everything that you just said, right? Like hits the nail on the head, right? And it just speaks to the soul, right? First part, God Talk really does do a good job at I was at this retreat this last weekend, right? And it absolutely ate, right? Like it was great, there was so much soul, right? And then whenever I got done with a lot of the retreat stuff, we were given the time to wind down with our roommates, right? People from our church, right? So one of the people from our church spoke about how like it's a very disappointing thing that there's not a lot of people who within our church, right, are actually open to deep intuitive conversation, right, about things that might challenge their points of view, right? And just every Thursday, right, we experience exactly that, right? Whenever Suzette, you say that, like we switching the format, making sure we create a space that is much more welcoming, all encompassing for a lot of people. Yeah, because honestly, like the church is dying for it, right? Like the people, right? Our community, now that it's got this orange person in the position of power, is dying to get the message that it's good to be gay and to have a spiritual relationship, right? And to be able to talk about that and unpack that, right? Like we really need that in a very accessible form. So, I really hope that someone submits some sort of proposal about something like that.
One of the things, one of the kind of guiding principles is a both and that I like to see. And I have known of a church who did their usual online services, and then they claim that they also share those services, or at least the sermon, via a podcast. So I think it can be both and, keeping our format face to face, and then sharing it as a podcast. And I hope we would do it more reliably than that church that I mentioned.
Suzette, you can talk to me. I have my own podcast. I have professional software that I just got. So I think you're my friend on Facebook. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead and talk to me.
We'll talk next week.
Wonderful, Liam. Thank you.
Liam's joining our church pretty soon. She's already.
Hey.
Liam, are you moving to Houston in February?
Yes, word gets around.
Well, because you're on my prayer list. And so Reverend Mona.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that was me. Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if it was you, because even though you have LEE tonight, we have it on prayer as LIAM.
Yeah, Liam. Yeah, I am, but I got my membership letter today. But yeah, I mean, I would be able to help in some capacity with a podcast. We just have to rip the audio and We can disseminate it on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all through one app, one platform.
I really
Okay.
want to learn that.
Now
Thank
that
you.
we're talking about moving forward, Suzette, I think this would be a good time to do our next little video, which has I think made me think about different kinds of New Year's resolutions and things about how to move forward.
Oh no,
There's no audio.
there's no audio, but there's soul.
Can you go back to the beginning and turn on the audio?
I have it turned on. I'm not sure why it didn't work on this one and it worked on the last one.
I think it's because you were muted.
Maybe. Let's try now. All the way backwards.
On both ends was the secret middle third end, and then I went and got another candle and I lit that one too. Nobody ever taught me how to relax. I want to do that. I want to relax. Thank you. It's called manifesting. Look at us. I noticed you were having a hard time saying you're proud of yourself. That's every single win is a win. Every single time you're here. Picture your win. Drink the water. Win. You win. That's little honey who can do the damn thing. Get up and grab your life by the butt. Don't take any shit from anybody, especially not yourself. You are the damn boss of you. Be a damn good one. You better keep it up, cutie. I'm so freaking proud of you. Something we feel when that happens isn't the sign that we should change ourselves to fit back into those spaces. Go make your space, baby. Change is scary, but so is literally everything else. And you know what else? You know you better keep it up, cutie, because I'm so freaking proud of you.
Oh, that was awesome.
I love her.
Some of the audio didn't come through, but so
I
maybe
restarted it. Hopefully you heard it that time.
We heard it. Yeah.
we heard it, but some of it, I don't know, at least on my end was kind of broken up, but we could read the parts that that didn't go through about amazingness and just not listening to your own BS.
I like to be a good boss of yourself.
Yes. Yes. How do we do that?
I learned through a mental health professional that our mind is like a record player and it spins around, and if you repeat a negative thought over and over and over, it's like the needle gets stuck in the groove and you have to purposely and intentionally move the needle somewhere else. So you have to think those positive mantras. And I'm telling you, when I was in college, I did this on my own without even knowing it. I read something where it said, if you smile, your endorphins go up, right? So I was having a bad day and I was at the grocery store. So I just smiled at everybody and everyone smiled back at me. And, saying positive things over and over to myself, without medication, created a new mindset for myself. I was depressed, anxious, all of those things that people on Xanax and antidepressants and all of the things that our world is caught up in today. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we were never taught how to talk to ourselves. We were never taught about the basics of mental health. And I think that is so key to being okay in this day and age. So, and I know, Jared, you know these things, but
Doing so good.
telling you what
That is beautiful.
that
I
can
like it.
mean to you.
What a great reminder. What a great reminder. I knew someone, maybe we can do this for each other. I knew someone who every time would hear somebody cut themselves down would say, drop down and give me 10 affirmations.
I agree with what Suzette said, and I came about that whole idea through reading Eckhart Tolle, who is always asking us to come into the present moment and to be here right now. And so that's the present moment now is when I can catch myself and look at myself, go, oh, I'm saying that negative thought again, or I'm doing that thing, but I can catch myself almost in real time now as it's happening, instead of, and if you work on this and you work on it and you work on it, you get faster at it. Because when I first started, it was like maybe a day later it would occur to me, oh yeah, I could have changed what I did yesterday if I had thought about it soon enough, but I just wasn't, I was lost. And so I just love the idea of, and how I often, close the prayers, by asking God just to give us the breath in the present moment. And so, we can come into the awareness of what we need to know in this moment.
Yes. Trina, we're
Hi,
so happy
Trina.
that you joined us. We kind of went from talking about the stuff of the past year and then we watched a funny video about taking good care of ourselves and so we're talking about future ideas. Anybody else want to add to that little synopsis?
So there's like in the study of neuroscience, there's research that our neurons that fire in our brain, the things that keep our brain going are like building blocks, like Legos. And so once we think one thought, another thought builds on top of it, another thought builds on top of it. And it takes only like 10 minutes to construct in your brain a neural pathway that wasn't there before. And that can sound scary, like, oh no, in 10 minutes I could, totally have this negative mindset for a really long time. But it also works the other way around. If we start infusing gratitude into our lives, if we start infusing just motivation and awareness and mindfulness into our lives, it only takes 10 minutes for that to become a pathway. And the more you go down that pathway, the more established it becomes. It becomes easier and more convenient to untangle your brain than it is to stay in a rut that's unhealthy.
That is great. Leo?
Yes, the part where she says be your own boss, it reminded me of what Dr. Peterson said. I used to struggle with anxiety. I still struggle with anxiety socially, but I used to struggle with anxiety driving. And what Dr. Peterson says is to face the dragon head on, the dragon being your anxiety, your problems, whatever it might be, slowly but surely. I did that, and just showing up for myself every single day driving, I was able to get over my driving anxiety. So
for a lot of what is being said, right? And I like what Suzette said, right? Like it's absolutely like on brand, right? Like that's absolutely correct, right? A lot of times it's really hard to think your way out of a problem you thought your way into, right? Like it's hard to be like, oh, these are thoughts, right? My thoughts are sabotaging me. Let me just think more positive thought, right? Because it's like you're fighting fire with fire, because like you have all these maladaptive thoughts and then these other thoughts, right? And then they're at war with each other, and you're just like, I want the thoughts to stop thoughting, right? Right. So cool thing, right? Like exactly what Suzette says, right? Like normally I teach a kind of like a fancy version of what exactly she did, but like your body language, right, is the exact thing that can be used to do your way out of the problem rather than thinking your way out of the problem, right? Generally what I use for myself and also for clients, right, is something, it's a very new technique. It's called the Big 3+1, right? It actually incorporates smiling, right? And so it's first, the Big 3+1 stands for this. Everybody get your notepads out. This is skills training class with Jared. So Big 3+1. works like this. It's 3 things plus 1, right? So the first thing of the big 3 plus 1 is raising your eyebrows. Everyone, please waggle your eyebrows, right? Good job, you did it, right? The second thing to the big 3 plus 1, right, is smile, no teeth, right? You don't have to use your teeth because it's kind of hard and unsustainable if you're trying to repetitively practice this coping skill, right? To just be like, oh wow, my face is on fire because I'm using my full face, all the facial. But it hurt. But like scientifically, it's proven that if you're just smiling without your teeth, it's not gonna hurt your face no matter how many times you do it. I'm so sorry to tell you. And the second to last thing, take a deep breath. Right? So that's the big 3. It's raise your eyebrows, smile, take a deep breath, right? But there's a plus 1 to it, right? So the plus 1 is if you're in a chair, lean back in your chair, right? It's the big 3 plus 1 because we're not always having an anxiety attack while sitting down, right? Right? It's a big 3 plus 1 because, sometimes you gotta just move, right? But essentially how it works is it works in 2 ways. Just by reorienting your body language, right? You can trick your mind, right, into thinking that it's safe, right? Because PTSD normally tricks us into thinking that we're not safe, right? Usually you think all those impractical thoughts that don't actually apply to the current moment, right? Well, you got to fight the gaslighting with the gaslighting, right? So, it does that, 1, and 2, it also, because we also have this thing called mirror neurons, where essentially if someone sees us make a face and do something, they're gonna do the exact same thing, right? It also tricks other people into feeling safe too. So in a weird way, it creates this aura of positivity around you because it's really hard to be like, you smell, right? And to be like say something mean when your body language is like literally open, right? If you notice, I tried to say that, I had my eyebrows up, I was smiling, took a deep breath, right? It's really hard because you're fighting yourself, right? So people are actually less likely to be mean to you, right? Whenever you're using and practicing the big 3 plus 1, right? And also over time, people are going to be more likely to use that skill without even having the skills training class with Jared. So yeah. That's what I would clinically recommend for y'all.
Thank you, Jared. Kim, thanks for your patience.
Yeah, this is stuff that I wish I would have known like 20 years ago. My entire life from childhood up until probably I was at least 40 years old, I was always told what I liked, what I didn't like. I was always told what to believe. I never knew I could be my own boss. I never knew I could think for myself. So, and I think my life would have been a whole lot different had I known all that stuff. So this is stuff that I wish that we could teach our children, for those of us that have them, or even teach the young people, that you can be your own boss. Don't let anybody beat you down because it's hard to come out of. One therapist told me that it took me 30 years to get here. Don't expect to get better in the next year. It might take you 30 years to get better. So each day I feel like I'm getting stronger and I feel like I'm getting better at being my own boss. I'm not afraid to say no now. I'm not afraid to, share my opinion. But I also feel like that I lost out on a lot of knowledge growing up because, I was always told to be quiet and I was always told, not to talk. And then when I was in my early marriages, I was told, what to do and how to think, their thoughts were my thoughts. I didn't have anything. So I feel like even in this even in this group, sometimes I feel a little slow. I feel a little behind the curve. And that's why sometimes I don't talk because I don't feel like I'm smart enough to talk. So those are things that I'm still working on and still trying to learn. But I love this group because I am learning a lot in it, and it's helping me out a lot. So yeah, and I'm 61. I'll be 62 in about a month and a half, or in about a month, and So 40 years of being beat down and told things, so
Yeah, you
yeah.
got a lot of reason to give yourself grace, and just like that video was saying, you gotta make uh, pat yourself on the back for all the progress you've made, and you are absolutely plenty smart to to contribute to this group, and we, you are loved and safe and appreciated here. Suzette?
So, so part two of that conversation is once you get to the other side of I'm okay, right? How do you look back, Jared, and go, how do you not be angry? How do you not be devastated? How do you not be sad? How do you not say, I could have been a brain surgeon? I could have been all these things that I'm not today. I love who I am today. Trust me. I am happy with who I am today. But there's a part of me that's really sad. There's the sad, mad, and bad. That's what my therapist told me. And that's how we overcome the things that happen to us. And so I chose the sad one. So, being sad is easy for me. And I don't want to continue, to gnash my teeth over, I didn't know I was okay. I didn't know I was worthy or worthwhile until I got to the other side. So it's still kind of traumatic to open that door and like we are right now and go back to, that person that I was that long time ago and say, I'm just gonna be okay with all that happened and move on, which I'm 62, Kim. And I didn't get to this point overnight, like you said. It took a very long time. And I sure hope that there are people in our congregation, in our listening audience, or wherever they might be that needs to hear this stuff can. But anyway, that was a question, Jared, really not a statement.
Mhm.
But do I need therapy? Do I need, what do I need to do to address that and put it away?
So I love that, right? I don't think that putting away is like the correct thing to that we should really be focusing on. Because I'm gonna be real. There's like mad, right? There's like, oh, I stubbed my toe, right? Like, and then there's like rage, right? Where, we've experienced decades, plural, of oppression, decades of, being like not like being in an environment that fosters our truest, most authentic self, right? There's decades, right, of trauma and experiences, right? That experience creates not anger, right? It's not, oh, someone cut me off in traffic. That's not what we're feeling. We're feeling rage, right? And the cool thing about rage, right, is its distinctness from anger, right? Is the fact that, yeah, anger, you should definitely work on regulating, right? Like definitely work on not, I don't know, punching walls or something, right? But rage needs to be channeled, right? Rage exists because things need to change, right? You can't you can't break 3+1 your way out of sexism, racism, right? Homophobia, right? And all of the heteronormative abuses that we've experienced, right? But what you can do, right? You can rage your way out of it, right? Because that's how we got all of our civil rights, right? So, like channeling, right, that rage into advocacy, into being not a bystander, but an upstander, someone who stands up and speaks out for the oppressed, right? And who helps and, builds a world where kids don't have to live the same life that we did, is absolutely something that we can do, right? Like and so I'm going to tell you the exact opposite. A lot of therapists that are enablers of a corrupt system will tell you, don't fix those emotions, right? Because they're there for a reason, right? That's your that's your that's your check engine lights on. Right?
That's
Like
what,
that's
that's what turns into anxiety, though. If you
yeah.
quell that anger long enough, it has to come out somehow. And it does, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, exactly. And so we have to channel it into something that actually affects change, right? Like we have to, when we see other people going through the same things, when we see ways in which this world can improve, right? When we see this, we have to act on it. We have to channel that rage into it, right? Because that's what that rage is for, right? That's what that rage has always been for. Every right was fought for.
That's a good answer. I see Liam.
All right, I'll go ahead. Suzette, to go to that, I over the last I've been here in Houston for a little over almost 15 years. And during that time, I've been through some real serious therapy. And a couple of them that really helped me. One was called ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, which is great. You know, you just have to accept what has gone on and I guess basically commit to like letting it go. Another one was a CPT, which was cognitive processing therapy. That helped a lot because I think it built on to the ACT. And then the last one I just went through is dialectical behavioral therapy. I went through that actually twice. So it took me a year to go through it because the first time through, there's just so much information that it's really hard to get anything out of it. But it helps you deal with your emotions, not try to get rid of them like Jared was saying, but actually help you work with them or deal with them and all that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you ever get the opportunity to do something like that, to get some kind of targeted therapy like that, it could be very helpful because that's what's helped me start believing in myself and realizing that a lot of these things were not my fault. And, you know, I could have been better. And I didn't realize all that until I've gone through these things. And by the way, I have the VA to thank for that because the VA is the one that gave me all that therapy and they were great. But yeah, so if you ever get a, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
I think.
All right, Liam.
I absolutely agree that confronting the emotions, acknowledging the emotions is much better than trying to get rid of them and push them away, because suppression doesn't mean that they're not there. Like, you know, I can mask and suppress all that I want, try to move on and focus on something else, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means that it's unaddressed. And that's where we get, you know, explosive, channeling the actions into something that's not healthy. So I absolutely agree that confronting the emotions is best, because then you can actually learn what to do with them, because so many people suppress. You know, I sometimes suppress, but that doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that it's compounding. Well, I put it off and off and off until something happens that's not productive.
So I would like to put your podcast in the mobilizer. This is kind of off topic. Advertise it in the mobilizer. I know you've been talking about it, and I've seen things about it, but I need to integrate it into our community so that we have another new thing to resource, and part of the you know, it's part of what we do on the online community is, you know, podcasts and all that kind of thing. So I would like more information if you could. You know, we'll connect next week, but I think it's a good thing. You know, we'll start the new year with some new resources. Be great.
Thank you. I love this resource. I'm glad it's here. And I appreciate it being online on YouTube for me to watch anytime. You know, it gets rid of the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yes.
Right. And, you know, I think, as I've said several times on God Talk, because this program is recorded for anyone who can view it later, I consider us to be not just participants, but we are panelists on this. We are panelists in this group because we might say something tonight that helps somebody somewhere down the road if they stumble on us. And so we're doing more than just yakking here.
Why do you come to God Talk, Trina? What brings you here?
Well, I haven't been in a minute because sometimes school takes over my life, and especially right before the holidays. But this is a good topic I landed on, and I'm holding my phone, bad angle. I hate it. But speaking of the negative feelings, I went to the what do you call that? Game day. And I thought it was going to be a bunch of old women there, but it wasn't. It was a bunch of old men, and that was cool. But I kind of felt a little funny because that was my first time going. And, I just felt weird because it was like, at first, they were kind of surprised I was there. And then, this just me. Like you said, when you think negative, and then trust me, I can think negative really easy. I'm thinking, they don't know that I come to the church a lot. And then the guy that was over it, he said, "Oh, let's take a picture and we'll put it on our Facebook page." And I was like, oh, okay. And I noticed when he took the picture, he made sure he took a picture of me. So I'm thinking, is he trying to take a picture of me to make sure, if something happens, that he got my picture or whatever? That's how I felt. Because I just felt like first they were surprised I was there, and then me being a Black female, it's like, why are you here? And I was trying to tell them that, I thought old owls meant older women over 50. And I wanted to try to do something more social. And I just felt like the conversation was kind of changed to suit me being there. Like they didn't talk about what they wanted to talk about. And I stayed the whole time because I kept saying, I'm going to duck out in 30 minutes. I'm just going to let them know, I got something to do. But I had nothing to do. And I don't know, I just felt profiled at one point. But I stayed and it was okay. I didn't go back. But I don't know, it's just sometimes you feel like you try to be part of something and you try to put the negative behind you and say, okay, well, that happened. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try it with something else. But I don't like rejection. So I tend to not get involved like that. And especially when I put an effort out and I try. And it was something that was happening at work also. I just felt like I was part of a team, but then I released myself from the team because I was pushing my team to do a lot of social stuff with the kids. So we're like art, music, PE, computer, and library. And I thought it'd be great if we all got together and did the spooky lab for a family night. And it turned out just me and this other girl ended up doing it. And I brought it up to them, and then I did a Jumpstart Read for America thing with kindergartners, and I asked them to help me with it. And it really wasn't a big deal. They just did it during their during their regular group time. I did everything. And all I asked them to do was participate, make the kids feel happy or whatever. So when we had our meeting, I let them know I was disappointed in all of that. And just by me saying that, it just triggered some things in them, like, you're not supposed to be upset, you're not supposed to be. And then we had a meeting with the principal, and basically it was like everybody was calling me out. And I felt like it was an ambush meeting, because it was like, well, you tell us to do this, you tell us to do that, and you don't give us instructions. And I'm like, really? No, I did. But I didn't say anything, because I got to the point in my age where I don't defend myself like that. I'm like, whatever, y'all. And so and the principal was behind the coach, who's this white lady. And I just, she's something. She has these fragile feelings, and the principal just agrees with everything she does. So when I got home, I was telling my sister about it, and she said, you put so much energy into that school, and you put so much energy into the group. Why don't you just put energy somewhere else, and where you can get a positive feedback? So I've been thinking about that lately, like maybe doing a community thing. So, because I don't want to stop doing stuff for kids, but not so much at my job, because, and I talked to the art teacher about this, she's kind of in the same boat. It's like, you're doing too much. Why are you always doing this? And it's like, it's for the kids. But it doesn't fly anymore. And I'm getting tired of being frustrated. I mean, I was literally crying after that meeting, because I just got so frustrated with the negativity. And then it was said that I was being negative because I was asking them questions of why they didn't do certain things. But it just all went back to me putting too much energy into something that's not working. So I'm going to do more of that next year, to not put so much energy into things that are not suiting me. And even with the owl thing, I'm going to try and go again, but I'm going to ask, why are you taking a picture of us? And I ain't seen it on Facebook.
They have women that go to that. It's not a lot of women, but and I think they're just trying to be here we are, look at what we're doing, and advertising their group so that others will come. But I do see the need to feel part of something that matters, and that what you do matters. And so, do you go to Resurrection, or have you been to the church in person?
It's so funny, because when I tell people I have been going to Resurrection since Decatur,
Oh,
they're
God.
like, what?
Remember you said this before.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And I don't know. I just thought,
You
I'm
must sit
not
back
the most,
quietly.
and that's the reaction I get all the time. I get that reaction. Oh no, really? I'm sorry, but it's not like you can miss me, But
Right. That is something that I hope we can address within the new year, because I mean, that is a common thing, right? Whenever Reverend Darren Phelps came, right, that was exactly his critique, right? He's been like doing his thing for how long, right? Like he was showing up, right, and no one said hi to him, right? He spoke at the church before, no one's greeted him, right? And then he was our friggin' pastor for like, I think it was 4 to 6 weeks, straight, talking about how the outreach was garbage, right? And so, like, where people, there's people who are members of our church who aren't actually official members, right? There's, people like they show up to church and they haven't built that sense of community. And, there's people who go to the church every day and they don't get interacted with. There's no one who says hi to them. There's no one who can, who touches base with them regularly, right? And, like, as a person of color, right? that can
Right.
rub those wounds that the social structures do be creating. And so like, yeah, like that is a whole thing that we've been trying to address, right? We've been trying to,
But as soon as she popped on, I knew exactly who she was,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
yeah.
Like you've been on maybe a couple times, so I knew exactly who you were. You didn't have to say a word, but I haven't seen you in the church house, and you must sit like in a place where I don't sit, or you might leave right after service or whatever, however it is
No,
that I'm
at one
missing.
point I used to go to, because I was really trying to be sociable, and I used to make little bread, and I would go to the after church, the gathering area, and I would, have my little breads there, and I would serve those. And I never could figure it out. I said, I don't know. And some of you who know me, I put a lot of emphasis on my size. And I said, well, maybe people are not coming by because, people don't really want to socialize with a fat person. I said, or maybe it's because I'm a black person, or maybe I'm black and fat. And then sometimes when you're just trying to be friends with, especially with women, they think you're trying to date them and you're just saying hi. It is
So
just
we need to
like,
do
and
better.
then I got tired of doing that. And then the pandemic happened and then it was online and that was okay. So now I'm trying to go back and I joined the online. I signed up for the choir. And then somebody had told me, oh, for the choir, you just need to show up. Just show up. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought once you sign up, you just wait on them to tell you because you have to do an audition or something. But I'm just gonna show up in January, and see what I would hate to show up, and then they're like, "What are you doing here?"
But Trina,
Wow.
all I can tell you is don't give up. When I go to church, I say hi to whoever like I see. I say hi. Some people wave, some people don't wave. It's fine. All I can tell you is don't give up. Don't give up. I wave at everybody if they're looking at me and say I wave. They might wave back. They might not. I don't take it personally. I mean, but don't give up. You're gonna find the right group. The right group of people.
Yes, and
And
Trina,
Trina,
we're
if
happy you came
I know
to.
you walk into the owls and what it is, it's a bunch of old white men. I can say it because I know all of them, it's a bunch of old white men older than me even. And so if they was afraid to say something, that's probably because they just wanted to talk about their prostate and how many times they have to get up in the night and go pee, because that's what they're going to be talking about. All right. And so I think
I wouldn't have mind,
if you
'cause
should try,
I'm
you
a
should
little
try going again
exercise.
and you go again and you just tell Larry Ponder, he's the one that runs it. You tell Larry, I'm here and you know what? I'm gonna participate, help me get in here, And Larry is one of the most kind and loving people. Just just tell Larry Kreger from God Talk said
Okay.
Belong here.
Well, I just want to appreciate how the bravery it took for you to say all these things and for you to yeah, that's just beautiful, and we are so happy you came here tonight, and hope that you'll keep coming here. And that was a really good reminder for all of us about extending about how about ways that we can improve in extending a welcome, extending hospitality is one of the goals of the church. One of the I don't remember, is it worded that way in the core values? I don't remember exactly, but welcome and hospitality are one of the things that we want to stand for as a church. Um and I think this group has made me feel incredibly welcome, and I hope that we can all share that light with others as we go forward. And I just appreciate the way that so many of you have done that already.
I didn't
So-
get to say take it away, Lynn, one time tonight.
She's gonna tell you, you keep calling my name.
Well, we are a little bit past our time. Does anybody, Lynn, you haven't said much, so if you want to speak, now's the time, but no pressure.
No, I've just really been fascinated by the conversation, and sometimes God talk is God listen for me, because I love the fact that people open up and share what they're thinking and feeling. I don't think that I've ever participated in a group in any setting that has been as open and transparent as this group is. And so tonight was just a God listen for me instead of a God talk.
All right.
You're gonna
Okay.
to us next time you go to church. We always sit in the front 2 rows.
Okay, I just sitting back. But I like this group. It's just like I say, I'm trying not to let school run my life. So, and like on Thursdays, I'm just going to try to make a point to keep that open on Thursday.
Yes, join us.
Always here.
Yeah,
We're
that's
always
the only reason why I'm not here. It's just because of that. But yeah, I like this group.
We can hold each other accountable, Trina. We
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
We'll take attendance on each other.
We invited.
that'll be good.
How about instead of taking attendance, maybe check in? Just, all right. Well, next week we talked about, we're going to talk about like famous people who are well-known people, famous or infamous or whatever, who have died in 2024. And so if you have people you want to talk about, I think we'll probably start with the CEO, the insurance CEO that was murdered. And so there should be some interesting threads from all of that, but think about who you might want to bring into the conversation. And I hope we see you all there. And Kreger, you're again willing to pray us out.
Absolutely. Holy Mother, Holy Father, Holy Spirit, Holy God, we're grateful for this God talk. We're just so pleased that so many joined the call and the conversation tonight. And it's just a beautiful thing when your people, when your beloved community gathers and we open up our hearts and we just say what's going on in our lives, and our words fall on ears of love in this room. And so we're just so grateful for that opportunity. We need so much more of this going on in our world across all kinds of communities. And so we pray that this effort on YouTube lands for those that need it, and other groups get started, and the message just goes forward and forward and forward, because we need these communities of love desperately in these times. So as we leave this time in this space, I again will ask that you allow us to stop several times a day and take a breath and realize that you are breathing us in the present moment, in each present moment. And when we come into the here and now, it's the moment of change. It's the only moment when the change and the action that's needed can take place. It's right here and right now. So help us to have that awareness several times a day, hundreds of times a day. You help us to get to the point where we never forget that. And that's our ask for growth and spiritual transformation. And as we go into the new year, we pray everyone is safe and sound, and that people find, our group finds something loving and encouraging over the weekend, whether it be a church service or a gathering or something to make us feel good. We ask all of these precious things in the holy name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
love you all. Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Love to everyone.